You know how we're always told the economy is growing? But does it actually feel that way to you? I mean, we see the numbers go up on the news, but for so many of us, life just seems to get harder. So today, we're going to dive into some fascinating source material that explores exactly why that is and presents a really powerful idea for what might be coming next.
And this quote, wow, it just perfectly frames the journey we're about to take. It's suggesting we're right on the edge of this massive fundamental shift, a move away from, all this individual competition and toward a much more interconnected reality.
So let's just start with a huge question right off the bat. What if our primary measure of success is just fundamentally wrong? I'm talking about the main metric our governments, our corporations all use to measure progress. GDP. What if that's actually leading us down the wrong path? That's the core idea we're going to unpack right now.
Okay, first up, let's really get a handle on the core problem. The source material has a great name for it, the policy void. We're about to see how chasing this one single number has kind of hollowed things out, creating this deep disconnect in our world.
So what is the policy void? Well, it's that gap you can actually feel. It's when the news is screaming that the economy is booming, but you look around and you and everyone you know are feeling more stressed out, more isolated, more uncertain than ever before. It's the reason a country can hit record profits while its own citizens can't even afford a place to live or basic health care. It's this massive, gaping chasm between a number on a screen and our actual lived human experience.
And here's the paradox, right? It's just laid bare. The very policies designed to boost GDP often end up encouraging things that actually harm us. I mean, think about it for a second. A massive oil spill, the cleanup effort after that spill, both of those things make the GDP number go up. But what about our well-being? Yeah, that's a whole different story. It's like the graph of our success and the graph of our happiness are literally moving in opposite directions.
Okay, so let's bring this down to a personal level. How does this actually affect us? Because this policy void isn't just some big, abstract national issue. Nope. It creates a very specific kind of psychological pressure on each of us as individuals. The source material calls it the me trap.
So what is this trap? Well, this whole system basically forces us into this frantic, almost fearful competition for jobs, for money. It's the thing that teaches us that our entire identity is tied to our profession. I am a lawyer. I am a programmer. And that, right there, creates this incredible anxiety around things like layoffs or automation. Because if your job is who you are, what happens when that job is gone? It's a trap, and it's built on a foundation of scarcity and separation.
But look, it's not all doom and gloom here. Not at all. The source material actually argues that this old system is crumbling, and that something totally new is starting to emerge from the cracks. So now we're going to pivot. We're moving from the problem to the solution. And there's this amazing framework for understanding the shift. It's called the we map.
Okay, now this map. This is really the heart of the whole idea. On the left, you've got that me world we were just talking about. Survival mode, competition, success measured by how much stuff you can accumulate. But then on the right, you see this emerging we world. It's all about collaboration, abundance, and success being defined by the flow of connection. Let's just zoom in on a couple of key shifts here. First, this move from an identity based on your job to recognizing your core essence. And second, redefining success, moving away from just piling up profit to nurturing that flow of connection between people. It's a completely fundamental shift in how we see ourselves and really our place in the world.
And just to be clear, this isn't some far-off fantasy, okay? The source material presents this as a blueprint for a transition that is already underway. This isn't a political manifesto. Think of it more as a description of a spiritual infrastructure, one that truly honors how interconnected all of life really is.
This contrast right here between identity and essence is just so crucial. The me trap whispers in your ear that your identity is your job. So if you lose that job, it feels like you've lost your entire identity, right? But this we worldview says something totally different. It says you have an essence, an intrinsic worth that has absolutely nothing to do with your economic role. You are valuable simply because you exist, period.
So how do we actually find this essence? That's the big question, isn't it? Well, the source material lays out some really cool foundational concepts for this new worldview. It's all about self-discovery and tapping into a much deeper sense of purpose.
Okay, let's take the Japanese concepts of ikigai, for example. The old world, it only really cared about one part of this, what you can be paid for. That's it. But your true purpose, your ikigai, is found where four things overlap: what you love, what the world needs, what you're good at, and what you can be paid for. See?
It's a much more complete, more holistic way of looking at what you bring to the table.
And then there's this, Ubuntu. It's this beautiful, profound philosophy that basically says, I am because we are. Just think about that for a second. It is the perfect antidote to the deep isolation of the me trap. It's a reminder that we're all part of this interconnected whole, and that my well-being is literally impossible without your well-being.
In this quote, this one really reframes the economic anxiety that so many of us are feeling right now. What if losing a job or changing careers isn't a failure? What if it's actually an invitation? The source calls it a divine extraction, like something is pulling you out of a system that never truly valued you in the first place, and instead, it's calling you home to what really matters.
All of this leads us to our final big idea, and it's one that completely redefines our whole idea of wealth. I mean, if the old system is collapsing, what is the new system of value even going to be built on?
The new currency, according to the source, is something it calls the thread of love. Now, I know, that might sound a little abstract, but hang with me. Think of it as the very real, tangible value of human connection, of empathy, of shared purpose. It's the neighbor who checks in on someone elderly. It's the community that comes together to plant a garden. It's a mentor who guides a young professional. None of these actions, none of them, get counted in GDP, but they create this immense wealth. And get this, it's the only form of currency that actually grows the more you give it away.
And that brings us to our final thought. We're going to end with a question, but this one is for you to take with you. If you stripped away all the external labels, your job title, your salary, your position in the world, who would be left? Really think about it. Because exploring that question, well, that's the very first step on the journey from me to we.